Thank you for listening to Shulchanaruchharav.com.
Does pet food require a Hashgacha, a rabbinical supervision? Must it be kosher? You own a pet dog, a pet cat, chicken, fish, goat, etc. And you go to the pet shop to purchase pet food designated for your pet animal, or your local grocery store. Do you have to look out for anything when you're purchasing these foods for your animals? Are there any kosher issues involved? And should you be particular in purchasing only those brands that contain a rabbinical supervision? So at the start, this question may seem quite strange, as it is true that I, as a Jew, must keep the dietary laws of kashrus. Why on earth would my fish or cat or dog need to keep kosher? Shouldn't I be able to feed them whatever I desire? So indeed it is true that in general the laws of kashrus do not apply to animals, including pets that are owned by a Jew, as there is no obligation in Judaism for one's animals to keep the dietary laws of kashrus. And thus technically from that standpoint there really is no regulation on going ahead and purchasing whatever pet food you want, even if it's complete treifus. Now, although in general there's a prohibition against doing business with non-kosher foods, and thus by me buying the non-kosher food, perhaps I transgress the business rabbinical prohibition as explained in chapter 117 in Yeridea. Nonetheless, in truth, as explained there, this prohibition only applies when you buy for the purpose and sake of selling. That's what business is, for commerce purposes. But to purchase it for personal home use to give to my pets is not a problem at all, does not transgress the business prohibition. However, there is one subject of a kashrus prohibition which applies even to your animals. And this is the matter that we will now clarify in order so people learn to beware and how to beware. You see, the premises we began with, that animals don't have to keep kosher, although being correct, does contain a certain condition. And that is, it's only mutter to feed your animal non-kosher food if the food itself is only prohibited in consumption and not in benefit. However, there are certain non-kosher foods, a minority at that, but still some, which in addition to being prohibited in consumption by your Jew, are also in addition prohibited in benefit by a Jew, which would automatically prohibit these foods from being fed to your animal. So it's not that the animal must keep kosher, but it's that you cannot benefit from certain non-kosher foods through feeding it to your animal and saving a meal. So what are these foods? So there are 4 common foods which are prohibited in hana and benefit and cannot be fed to an animal, which include basar v'chalav, mixtures of meat and milk, chametz on Pesach, arla, and wine of a Gentile known as yayin nesach. Accordingly, when purchasing pet food, even though it doesn't need a hashgacha per se, it doesn't have to be kosher per se, one must ascertain through looking at the ingredients that it does not contain any one of the 4 foods that we mentioned that are prohibited in benefit and cannot be fed to your pet. It is due to this that there are pet food companies with rabbinical supervision and endorsements of different hashgachas, which ascertain not that they're kosher, there may be pork inside, but simply that they don't contain any ingredients which are prohibited in benefit and thereby cannot be fed to your pet. Now, while regarding Pesach, certainly every individual must be careful to purchase only rabbinically endorsed kosher for Pesach pet foods with a hashgacha for Pesach. During the rest of the year, you don't have to do so, especially if it's not around in your vicinity or doesn't fit for your pet, and rather simply looking through the ingredients to make sure that it doesn't have any of the prohibited and benefit foods suffices. So we will now shortly summarize the laws of the 4 different benefit prohibited foods that you have to look out for in the ingredients of the potential pet food that you would like to buy. The first and main is basar v'chalav. Basar v'chalav, meat and milk, is biblically prohibited in cooking, eating, and benefit. So if there is a biblical basar v'chalav mixture in this pet food, it's forbidden for you to purchase it and feed it to your animal. And these are very common on the market, such as high life beef and cheese dog bites, which is beef of a cow, and cheese, which is basar v'chalav. The good news, however, is that the prohibition of basar v'chalav and consequential benefit prohibition of feeding it to your animal only applies if it contains meat and milk from a kosher animal species. However, if it's not a kosher animal species, such as in the pet food it says horse or pig meat, then even if it contains milk, it's not a problem. Likewise, poultry is permitted in benefit even if it was cooked with milk, and thereby if it's chicken and cheese, pet food, it may be fed to your pet. So a simple looking through the ingredients can suffice regarding this to negate that it contains cheese or milk and meat from a kosher species animal such as cow, goat, or sheep. Now regarding milk, sometimes the dairy ingredient is written in non-conventional terms that people don't always know is dairy, such as casein and whey, and in truth they contain milk, and therefore you have to look out for those ingredients whenever you're purchasing a cow or sheep meat pet dinner for your pet. Our second matter that needs to be negated from the ingredients is wine or grape juice. Wine or grape juice of a Gentile is usher, is forbidden in benefit due to yain nesach, as explained in Shulchanaruchharav, chapter 123. And thereby, if it says that it contains wine or grape derivatives, then you cannot purchase that to feed your pet. Arla is another issue that is forbidden in benefit. However, the good news is that in Chutz La'aretz, so long as you don't know for certain that the fruits are Arla, you don't have to suspect that they are. So here there's really nothing to negate. You don't have to worry that the fruits used are Arla fruits. Unless it explicitly states on the label, contains oranges from the first year of growth or something of the sort. Then you would not be able to purchase it to feed to your pet. The fourth matter that needs negation is specifically during Pesach, and that is chametz. And being that chametz can infiltrate in many different ingredients, in many different names and trace ingredients, thereby, as we already stated, it should only be purchased with a Hashgacha kosher for Pesach when you want to feed pet food to your pet during Pesach. So to summarize, it's permitted for your pet to eat non-kosher foods, including pork, shrimps, and whatever you want. The only restriction is regarding foods that are prohibited in benefit, such as meat and milk that are cooked together, as opposed to chicken and milk, or non-kosher meat and milk. And likewise, wine or grape juice may not be found in the ingredients, and during Pesach, one must purchase a kosher for Pesach pet food.
Thank you for listening to Shulchanaruchharav.com. Our free services of making Torah knowledge available to the public depends on donors like you. Please help us continue our work through making even a small contribution at www.shulchanaruchharav.com under the Daily Halacha Dedication section or in the subscription page. Also, check out our online courses and many sefarim available for purchase that will both enhance your Torah knowledge and help support our work.